it's a repeater that works, at least the control software does, but it doesn't produce any images or sound. So it's not much use to anyone at the moment, but it does work. And I'm quite pleased with the control software that's doing a few things that other repeaters might not do. I don't know whether they do or not, but I'm quite chuffed with it. And because I'm trying to get it all working on one Raspberry Pi, and I do mean everything, apart from the modulator transmitter and a tuner, which may turn out ideally to be this new Libra SDR, because that's an all-in-one thing, isn't it? That would be pretty neat. But I'm aiming for, say, just that, a Libra SDR and one Raspberry Pi. No, nothing else. Everything on one thing. That's the ambition. I believe it's possible. I mean, for example, I have discovered that you can actually run FM MPEG on a Pi 5. Remember, Pi 5s don't have any hardware encoders. You can actually run an encode with FM MPEG. It knocks it around a bit, you know. It's running at about 80% CPU. There's 4 cores. That's all four cores going, you know, about 80%. So there's a bit of space there for the control software. A receiver doesn't take much, nor does a stream coming in. So it's going to be knocking onto the 100% mark, but it might work. You see, it might work. But there's problems to solve, like how do you switch seamlessly from one source to another? And hardware switches don't actually solve that, not perfectly, unless you were going to use something like an A10 Mini. That would do it. You get a proper seamless switch with that. So I'm trying to figure out how to do that in software. I haven't a clue what I'm doing, by the way. I have no idea. I need a collaborator. If anybody would like to join me, give me some assistance. I'm not asking anyone to write code or anything like that, or you can if you want, but I need guidance and tips and clues of how to go about things. You know, I know where I want to get to, but I don't really know how to get there. My coding skills aren't great, but they're good enough, you know, because I am prepared to sort of figure it out and learn from other people and so on, you know. So I'm getting better at that. But it's the broader questions, you know, like how do you get to do what you want to do? What direction do you need to go in? So if anybody would like to join me on this, I'd be very, very much appreciated, because I just don't have anyone at the moment. And because I'm trying to do it on one Pi, I decided to name the Pi, its host name. I've called it Atomic. That's a word used in computers. Atomic. And it turns out that Pi 5s are not only atomic, but they're autonomous. In other words, they've got a brain of their own. And I mean, I've been down so many rabbit holes, and you just get something going and it's all working, and then you think, and then it all goes wrong. Like, for example, today, I had it working and it's putting out video and sound at 1080p with audio, and it appears to be working. And then suddenly, you know, after I've done a reboot for something, it's suddenly not displaying the screen properly. It's turned itself into CinemaScope with black bands on the top and the bottom, and it turns out it's actually stuffing out 720 by 480 all on its own. And yes, I have actually edited the command text file, or whatever it's called, put the instruction to, which is supposed to lock it down to one specific thing, but it doesn't. It did, and then suddenly it decides to be awkward, and I can't get it back. You know, rebooting this, switching off the encode, whatever, you know. I just don't get it, how our computers can do this. And this is without the aid of artificial intelligence. I mean, if that was involved, there'd be no chance, would there? So I don't know what's going on there. But anyhow, I keep going, and I'll get there eventually. But as I say, if anybody would like to chip in and throw a few ideas around, or just have a half an hour discussion about things, I would very, very much appreciate that. Right, okay, enough begging. Let's go on now to, it's Colin next. G4KLB, Colin from EA7KIR.
EA7KIR G4KLB. Okay then. There we are. Mute that sound. Put the camera on. Maybe. Maybe put the camera on. There we go. It's always worrying. once you start, you're all right, but you never know if everything's going to work. But so there we go. Right. Well, thank you very much for that, Michael. Hopefully your repeater with no customers will start to gather customers once it's all going. I'm sure that will be the case. I think you'd be surprised, really. They do say build it and they'll come. That's the premise that I've been going on anyway. But certainly if you don't have a repeater, then it won't be any customers, that's for sure. So you can be sure of that. Right, okay then. What's been happening this week at the KLB area? Yeah, I saw that amplifier that was being, but Gareth was waving about. I've also got one of those as well, and I've done a little bit of work to that. There it is, there, ready to go. But I had an issue that I couldn't solder. It was suggested that I solder the there we are, the bit on the board. I built these little bits that go on. So what I've done is it was Mike's idea, although I thought about it, but I didn't want to do it. But slipped a bit of card under, undid all the screws, slipped a bit of card over, and then soldered them on like that, and it was very, very successful. That worked a treat, that did. So yeah, I was happy with that. That's the other bit there. So that worked perfectly. Whereas like before, I put the soldering iron on there. In fact, I had two soldering irons, and I was concerned that I would put so much heat in that I would melt the dielectric. But that didn't occur. So it worked perfectly, and it was really quick too. So it was like, wow, that made that big difference. And then carefully bolted it all back together. I was nervous about putting stress on the centre, you see, because I always like to solder the centre one last, which I did anyway, again, so that there's no stresses on it. Otherwise it's likely to come unstuck. So that is ready for testing, and I've just got to dig the power supply out of the shed and let it thaw out for a bit. And then we'll hopefully get some 77. I've got the mods to do that Gareth has let me have. Later on, I've got to this stage where it's just had Jim's mods done to it, or Jim did them actually. So that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting. What else has been done? Well, a remarkable bit of collaboration. I wanted to build a new Portsdown 4 for the van, but I didn't want to disassemble the Portsdown 2020. For several reasons. One is I like it, and also I would be off air for a significant amount of time. So I wanted a case, and I couldn't find a case suitable for what I wanted to do. But Malcolm UHY said he had a case, and so he was going to the round table that John JTT was going to, and so he transported this great big case from Devon up to the round table, and John dragged it back to his house. And a couple of days ago, I went round to John's to pick it up, and here it is. This is a magnificent case. So thanks to Malcolm, and thanks to John, of course, for sort of hanging on to doing the business. But this is a magnificent case. Chuffed a bit. It's got plenty of holes in the back. I won't need to change that panel, but the front panel is almost. It's got one small hole in it. One small hole. That's all really. Absolutely magnificent. It's a brilliant case. This exactly what I wanted. I couldn't believe it. It's absolutely what I wanted. So, thanks to Malcolm for that. Yes, and there was he didn't charge me anything for it either. So just went down to John. Oh, I meant to mention twice now. I've forgotten twice. And whilst I was there, John offered me a suit for one of my boys, and I'm thinking, oh, they'll probably make a fuss or whatever. But the sizes, because I thought it won't be the size, but the sizes of the suit were exactly what my eldest son is. It normally has to have the leg an inch longer, but he is actually 33. So that was just magnificent. And the reason I'm mentioning this is that he was over the moon with it. So thank you very much, John, for that. He was chuffed to bits for that. Very, very happy indeed. So that was yeah. That was brilliant. Oh, let me see. There's something. Spirit. Oh, you worked for them, did you? DOH, did you? It's a small world, isn't it? It's a small world. That's a decent box. That's a decent box. Probably cost a fortune. But yeah, thank you, John, for that. That's no, he's chuffed to bits with that. Chuffed, and I had a spare pair of trousers, or another pair of trousers. But like, yeah, ever so pleased with that. So thank you very much for that, John. That's brilliant. I'll probably save the other bits for the next over. I think. Yeah, I'll save the other bits for the next over, because we've got something very interesting about to happen. From Guernsey, we're very interested to see Simon's software. Is a magnificent piece of work, I have to say. And it's a transceiver. It receives as well without the. Well, I'm not going to say any more because that would be unfair to to the next person. So without any further ado, I'll pass it over to GU6EFB, and we'll see how we go. So that's he's obviously the second beta tester. So over to you, Keith, from G4KLB. If I can find the test card.
Oh, turn the sound down. Very good evening, everyone. Sorry for the no call sign or whatever, but it's all good fun at the moment. Playing with this new software, which basically had about 24 hours. Simon kindly sent us a link to download a copy. So quite intuitive, quite easy to set up. Few kind of issues, but they were my issues, not Simon's issues. So hopefully everybody's still receiving okay. It seems to be transmitting okay, and the Winter Hills receiving okay. So basically the system I'm using here tonight is Simon's SDR television software, which, as Colin said, is both transmit and receive. So the system is SDR television connected directly to a Pluto, the Pluto is connected to my PA, the LMB is connected to the Pluto, and the C900 camera and the microphone, and that is it. That is the whole system. Very, very impressed. Yeah, receiving myself whilst I'm transmitting. Absolutely gobsmacked. It's amazing software. So thank you very much, Simon. And this is only going to get better and better. And like I say, nearly all of the problems at the moment are down to the operator. I don't think I've ever read a manual so many times, because there's so much information in it, and you really do need to read it and understand it. But it's going to make DATV more accessible to many people in the future, which is going to be absolutely amazing. Still off work, but I'm back to work next week, so I've finally shaken off this virus thing I had. But in the meantime, the Portsdown 4 build I've been doing is coming along well. Oh, let's go for shaky cam or wonder cam. I'm sure Dave would be interested. Oh, where is it? So there's the Portsdown, which has got all the buttons and the tuning knob and microphone and 25-way adapter for the test equipment. So that's all coming along nicely. So I'm going to pass it round to Dave before I break anything else or push my luck too far. Anyway, really nice to see you back, Dave. Trust you had a good time. Nice to see you back on the net there. So there won't be any test cards or anything, Dave. It's all a bit stuff all over the place at the moment here. So G8 GKQ to take it from GU6 EFB.
GU6 EFB and the net G8 GKQ. That's working right. Really impressive to see that software working, Keith and Simon. Well done. Interested to find out more about it when you're happy to give a bit more access, Simon. And good to see the ports down there, Keith. I was surprised I was just received Radcom today, and in my normal 2-minute read of it, somebody else had a picture of Portsdown, which I was really impressed with. So Portsdown has graduated from the ATV pages to the other pages, which is nice to see. I'm sure Simon's software may well do that in due course, and Simon's TV software may well do that in due course. Very nice case you got there from Colin from Malcolm. Those are really useful. I got something just a bit bigger that I've been building this spectrum analyzer project into. Only trouble is it's now getting pretty heavy. What have I been up to? Well, the cruise was 5 weeks away. A really good break. Did have some rain, but it was warm rain as opposed to very cold rain. But most of the time it was sunny and really, really pleasant. Bit of beach time, bit of activity time, and lots of relaxing. Since I've been back working on the BATC accounts, so the thing that's looming over my head, it's that project that you don't want to do, but you can't put off. So I'm about halfway through sorting out the 2024 accounts. However, I had a day off today, went over to the GB3HV site, and Noel, myself, Roy and Mike GLLES spent the day sorting out GB3HV. It is basically ready to go on the air, apart from we've got a problem with the rotator. But if you're in the right direction from it, it works. It's not turned on at the moment, but still working well. Sort out quite a few problems with it, but it's going. And there'll be news in due course about the formation of the GB3HV group and funds and things, but no great rush on that at the moment. Main thing is to get it on the air. The other little project I've been working on is this, see how well that comes out, the LimeNet Micro. the company have just released some new, a latest release of software for that, which is their first production release. And I've been getting Band Viewer to work with their software on there, and just about to work on the transmit side. That's using the Embryo Portsdown 5, which is coming along slowly as another of those background projects, using a Raspberry Pi 5, although a lot of the functions will work on a Raspberry Pi 4. It's not limited to the 5. The single Pi repeater sounds really interesting, Michael. I do recall the GUI, the desktop, does ignore command line.txt. I seem to recall there was something on the Raspberry Pi forum about people complaining about the fact that the GUI overrides what you put in command line.txt, and I think that's what you've seen. I, for most of the time, don't work with the GUI, the Wayland desktop. I work with just a raw frame buffer, so I don't suffer from that, and I do write to... oh, you're only using... you're not using the desktop. Okay. Well, in which case, I don't know why it's overwriting command line.txt. But certainly the graphics sizing is all a bit different on Bookworm. And I've struggled with it, and I must admit I've forgotten where I got to with it. That's the trouble with going away for so long and getting old. Right, I'm only going to do one over tonight. Good to see everybody on again. And really good to see that software working well, Simon. Right, I'm looking for the list. Oh, it is round to Martin. I thought it was. So G4FKK and the net G8GKQ.
Yeah, fine, Dave. G8GKQ. And good to see you back. And also excellent news on GB3HV. Well, I hope you got it pointing our way, me and Gareth. But I doubt it somehow. But we'll look forward to that. Looks like there's a few 70SEMS amps being built, so hopefully it'll have a 70SEMS input. I used to be able to get into it when it was where it was previously, so fingers crossed. Anyway, Gareth, good to see you on this evening, and be interested to see how you get on with your nickel sprayed case. I didn't know you could get nickel spray. Well, yeah, I suppose I did know that. A bit like silver spray, isn't it? Reason I say that is I spent quite a long time making some jollop, so I could electro nickel plate watch cases and parts and things. If you could just spray it, it'd be a lot easier, wouldn't it? The amp's looking good. And, oh, so you went up and down Godstone loads of days, so it's your fault that there's a big hole in Godstone, is it, Gareth? Yeah, that's it all looked very familiar when they were showing it on telly. Evening, Michael. You're lucky you found a good dentist. My excellent dentist, who I'd been with practically my whole life, retired 5 or 6 years ago. And I've not found anyone that I approve of yet, so I'll have to come and visit you down there and poach your dentist there. I can't really help with the Pi 5 battles you're having, Michael, but I know you'll get it sorted out. And your 70SEM amps ready for testing already, Colin, so that's good. And the Portsdown 4 case, that looks like it might almost be big enough, Colin. I don't know if you're going to do a GKQ and put 2 of them in there. That'd be good. Or a ride as well. Oh, 021. Yeah. Oh, that might well be our way, Dave. Well, I'll have to keep an eye on the forum and see when it gets fired up. Anyway, Keith. and Simon, excellent work. I'll be honest, that's the first time I've seen it working without something odd happening, because I know Simon and Mike have been working very hard ironing out the glitches and things. But that certainly on the Winter Hill here was perfect, and plenty of audio, and it was in sync as well. So all looking very encouraging. So I don't know when it's likely to be widely available, but it's very exciting. And thank you for putting all that effort into it, Simon. And Simon says he might be visible. I think he meant on the satellite. I may be on the nets in 3 weeks or so. Well, that's very exciting too. I think I have met you, Simon, but it would have been back in the 70s when we were all on Top Band, and I think at some rally. But you certainly won't remember me, and I'll be interested to see if you look like I vaguely remember you looking. So that will be interesting, and we're looking forward to that. Oh, and I'm glad you're fitting well enough to go back to work, Keith. It's a shame, isn't it, that you have... It's such a waste of sick leave being ill, isn't it? I always thought when I was working. Right, enough old rubbish from me. Second round is pretty much as it was, except Dave won't be with us. So it's Gareth, Michael, Colin, Keith, and that'll do for the second round. I've put the list up. Was anything else in the chat there? 021 is encouraging. Colin's been converted to band view. Oh, right. 2 screens. Got you. Yes. And Mario, we're always looking forward to Gareth and Colin's projects, and Dave's, obviously. So we'll see what happens. Right, round to you, Gareth. G4XAT and the worldwide BATC net, as it would appear to be. G4 Fox King standing by.
Right, G4XAT. Thanks, Martin. Well, exciting times, isn't it? It fell over on my ride when Mike was using it last Thursday, I seem to recall. But the ride did not bat an eyelid this time round. And I don't currently have any other wired-in reception methods. The 70 SEMS PA, if that's what people are wondering about, it's for sale. The reason being, I've got a big PA for 70 SEMS and lots of spare pallets for that said PA. The only disadvantage of those pallets is that I'd need more driver, whereas this one is it's got a driver on it, so you need about 100 milliwatts to get 150 watts out, which is pretty good going, really. Okay. Nickel plating, well, it's not plating, it's just a nickel screening spray. Martin Farnell sell it, and I think others do. But I thought, I could cut out some aluminium and drill holes in it and fold flanges on it, except I haven't got a decent sheet metal folder. So I had a quick look online, and they're sort of 60 quid upwards. I thought, oh no, I'm not going to pay that. So it's an experiment, really. I mean, don't leave it in a hot car on a sunny day, because the PLA will creep, and don't let the amp get too hot either. But those little fan modules, you can program them if you're keen enough to be really quiet when it's cool, and then ramp up to full speed at whatever you want to do, really. I did use one on another project I haven't quite finished. They're designed for 12 volts, but I thought, where is the... I mean, it's a little micro on a 5 volt reg running a very simple switch mode power supply that chops up the incoming voltage. So I looked at it and thought, well, the chances are the switching FET or whatever it is, or transistor, there's no number on it, of course, just a little SMT 3-legged thing. chances are it's at least 30 volts, and tough if it isn't. There'll be plenty more in the spares box. The output capacitor is not 24 volts though, so I changed that for a 50 volt one. And then I thought, well, the 5 volt reg, if it's designed to run off 12 volts, it's probably 25 volts or 28 volts input max. Anyway, hooked it up to 28 volts, changed the input capacitor as well, and the thing works fine. Not quite what you'd call CCS rated, but you know, if it works, it works. We shall see. Okay, a quick picture. This is the masterful job I've done of adapting the gearbox spacing. I did lots of careful measuring on the flex plate and the torque converter and everything, and I came up with 12 millimeters as being the spacing. So by cutting the aluminium into 3 shaped pieces and drilling a total of 6 holes, I've now got a somewhat tricky to fit in but functional spacer. Tricky to fit in at the moment, but I have got the separating screening plate that usually goes between a gearbox and an engine, so I'm just going to arrowdite them to that when I'm happy with it all, so it'll be a lot easier to fit. Not quite so easy, of course, is the starter motor spacing, which needs a 22mm spacer. So this is what you get when you mix a gearbox from the 1980s with an engine from the 1990s into a kit car that was made in the early 1980s. But it's all a bit of fun for me. I think that covers it really. HV, yeah, looking forward to that. I've got a feeling it was a bit more westerly than 21 degrees. I would be curious to know if you could put up a halo for it like JV uses, because I got into that from Walbury, admittedly with 150 watts, but it would save messing with a rotator, and I could probably be persuaded to make one quite happily. I've probably got all the bits. I've certainly got the size of the one on JV because I drew round it before we fitted it up. And JV has got flight radar 24 on it now. I'm not sure whether it's ever going to appear on the stream, but it's fitted on the mast and it works very nicely. Okay, is Colin still there? It's not Colin, is it? It's Michael. Good luck with your endeavours on that. I would find it incredibly frustrating when Raspberry Pi doesn't work. Fortunately, other people know how to do it, and once they're working, they've been very good here. Clutching a large piece of wood. There goes the fan, so probably time to shut up and pass it round. So, listening till the end, and looking forward to hearing if that Pluto that you're using, Keith, can it receive at the same time as it's transmitting? And does it go all the way up to 6 gig? And does it go down to 50, or does it stop at 70, I wonder? And does it mind which firmware is in it? All these questions, I don't know. Good stuff though, really good stuff. So Michael, round to you at long last. EA7 KIR. Go ahead please, G4XAT and the rest.
Yep. Okay. Thanks, Gareth. And thanks for a little bit of encouragement from Dave as well. It's nice that somebody thinks I might be doing something useful, but whether I'll get there remains to be seen. But I'm not one for giving up. I pride myself in that every project I've ever taken on in my lifetime, I've always completed. And I don't want this to be the first one where I don't succeed. But I do contemplate moving away from the Pi 5 to something more powerful. Not a PC, because they take far too much electricity. I mean, what's one of the advantages of the single chip on a SoCs or whatever they're called? They're very power efficient and take very few watts. But there's quite a lot of boards in this category, and there's rather too many to sort of study. And occasionally I do some research, you know, watching stupid videos on YouTube and things of reviews, you know, that tell you absolutely nothing. Trying to figure out if any of them might be suitable, but I haven't seen anything that is, you know, is a quantum leap, from a Raspberry Pi. In other words, jumping up to 8 cores and running at 5 gigahertz instead of 2 gigahertz or something like, something like that, on a chip. That would be, and hardware encoders as well. I mean, that would be wonderful, wouldn't it? I mean, to actually have hardware encoders in it for 265 and 266. 264 and 265. Well, 266 as well, why not? Yeah. On a chip, yeah. Dream about a dream. You're lucky if you can find one with an HDMI connector, actually, but that's not actually essential, because you don't necessarily need it. You can go straight out and, data in, data out. You don't actually need to do it that way. I find it at the moment, although I can run FFmpeg on the Pi, therefore you don't need an HDMI output at all. I like to see what I'm doing without having to run another something else on another screen just to see what's going on. So it's convenient at the moment not to encode on the Pi, but I know it can be done. So at the moment I do actually use the HDMI, but I still think you need, I'm not sure about this. You probably still need, well, you certainly need a surface to render onto, or do you? I don't know. You see, there's so much I don't know. So before I embarrass myself anymore, let's move on to someone who might know a lot more than me. Tony. Because Dave's not next. We're going over to Tony. Stand by, Tony. G0AZQ from EA7KIR. Good night from me, and over to Tony.
Okay then, I left a little pause just in case. Yeah, Tony's up fairly soon. After I think it's after Keith, isn't it? I think. Yes. Right, okay then. Right, well, good luck with that. That's an impressive record, though. Every project you've ever started. I wish I could say the same. Oh dear. Perhaps, yeah, but some of my projects might just take a little bit longer than others. I guess I'm not saying that they're not. They just haven't been finished yet. Oh dear. Too many projects. I think that's my trouble. Well, we've been working on. Well, we've been working on a 2025 version of the variable attenuator using a PE43703, which hasn't been made for a little while, but there's still a few about on the usual sources. So we're using a different one than before, and more on that when it's actually finished. But I have tested the Arduino code on QO-100, and it does work perfectly. This is what the original one, which is on the BATC wiki, is uses a pick and a different display, whereas this one is using an Arduino Nano and an OLED display. And that's the box I've decided to put it in, but you can, do whatever you want. But I doubt if the and that will be going on the wiki once we've got all the things working. It is working really, but there's a few more tests to do. And so when it's ready to show, because what I've done is I ordered the wrong circuit board. I ordered the wrong PCB by mistake. And I'm just waiting for the proper one to come in, and I've drilled the holes for the proper one, so we're waiting for that, but it's working. But that will also be going on the BATC wiki, and we don't think that the boards will necessarily need to be in the shop, but the Gerbers will be published, or the zip file for it, so that you can get your own, so they will go up on the BATC as well. But it does the same job as the previous one, which is actually I've got one running now, actually at this moment on QO-100, because I run them all the time anyway. I run one on QO-100 and I run one on SQ. And there's the original version using a similar device, and there is the new one. It's actually in the same box as it happens. Except that the inputs and outputs are this way round instead of this way round. That's something a little experiment of mine as well. A little SMA tightener. I shouldn't play with that because that's actually live at the minute. I just don't undo that whilst you're on air. Just something I found on the Bamboo Studio. Oh, here we are. There's some more here. That's what they are. This one is slightly different to the other one I printed. And this one clips on, and you can see it holds itself on. So you can turn it. I've got some up here in a storage area, and so you can undo them, and you can turn them upside down, and they don't fall off. So, but you can just get that little extra, because I think it's 1 Newton meter. I think it's supposed to be. You can just get that on an SMA. So I printed a load of them, as well as I printed some little caps for SMAs as well, again from the same source. This is just I've just been screwing them on everything. It's a bit overkill really, but I'm using them like I've got a storage area of them up here on some transverters I built. So I just shoved them all on there just to use them up, sort of thing. They don't really need to be on all of those necessarily, but they're on all of them. Look, there's a blinking hundreds of them. I got a bit carried away, I think. I thought, well, I better print a few, because when I need one, I'll need it, So, bit over the top. Nothing I've designed at all. I just say I just found them on there and downloaded them, and that was that really. So that's what I've been doing. Worked out really well though. They work really well. They're a blinking marvellous thing. So I sort of boosted that. When you print something, you get a little boost thing, and you can push whoever designed it up the list a little bit. So I've done that as much as I can, because I think it's a marvellous little thing. I know you should use a proper torque wrench, but I don't have one. But you can gauge it reasonably well, because when I used to do some 10 gig stuff, I was just amazed that when I got a spanner on the on the SMAs, the difference it made on 10 gigahertz. It was like, wow, that's a lesson. That's a lesson there. You watch the power meter as you tighten them up to the proper torque, and it just like made a huge difference. It did. Right, okay, that's that. I think that's probably about it for the goings on here. There's always so many things to do, aren't there? Really, that's the trouble. Well, so it's not really a trouble, is it? Really, but there we are. Anyway, let's see how Keith is doing now. So GU6 EFB, over to you. Um, I think the receive side of that is one of the really clever things. The transmit is very clever, but the receiving without a mini tuner, that's blinking impressive, I have to say. So very very clever indeed. It's yeah. Because eventually we're not short of tuners at the minute, but there will be no more. Eventually, this is what will save ATV. Really, that's how significant it is. Right, okay, that's enough. That's enough. That's enough from here. GU6 GUB to take it. G4KLB. Getting all emotional now. Oh dear.
Okay, G4KLB, GU6EFB. Okay, thanks there, Colin. Really good. My port's down. I'm building into an old Tektronix oscilloscope case, which the scope was no good, so we stripped everything out. This week also done a load of antenna work, loft over the tower, took all the antennas off, put a replacement rotator on, put all the antennas back, including a new 70SEMS 21 element beam, replaced some coaxes which were worn out, put new luffing cables and winching cables, so the tower now slides up and down to its 80-foot height, no problems at all. So definitely aiming to do some DATV on the other bands. A couple of things there, Gareth, G4X80. In answer to your question, yes, it will transmit and receive simultaneously, which is what it is doing at the moment. So I'm transmitting and receiving myself on the same system. So the Pluto is doing both transmission and reception at the same time. Simon is built into the software as digging around on the buttons to see what everything does. You can have presets, so you can put your own frequencies in. What the limits are, I don't know, but I guess they're probably what the Pluto can handle. But there's also 2 meters up to 13 centimeters already in the software. Haven't explored that, so I can't really tell you too much more. I was going to order one of those amps, Gareth, so if that one's for sale, I may be interested. There, so there we go. Let's just take this camera around, which has gone all wobbly, and there we are. It's transmitting and receiving. I'll do something better next time, but I've only had a few hours to actually play with it. So you can see it is actually transmitting and receiving at the same time. And I won't play with any buttons because I don't know what happens when you're on air and you press some other things. I will find out in the coming days. Oh, I'll put the camera back, sorry about that. It will connect up to OBS, but I ran out of time trying to figure everything out and all the settings, and I just wanted to make sure it worked. So I'll keep it short, but yeah, I think I've covered all the points there. So it does transmit and receive simultaneously, will do other bands, yeah, and it just works. So many congratulations, Simon, there. It is absolutely superb, and I'll get the hang of it. It's not quite intuitive yet, but yeah, getting the hang of it. So anyway, round to Tony, AZQ. If you're ready, there's no test card or anything fancy tonight. It's just going to be straight round to you. So over to you, Tony, from GU6EFB.
Sorry, was I jamming you, Tony? I wasn't copying you, Tony, but try again, because I think you were on the same time as, well, I was on the same time as you. Give it another try, G. Right, well, I got the test card okay, Tony, but there was no sound. So I don't know if you're battling against something there. But all the readings were good here. You had plenty of null packets, not too many, but enough. And all the numbers looked good. So test card, then poof. That was that's Chris's technical term for that, Tony. So I'll waffle on for a bit, give you time to tweak things, and I'll put it round to you again and see if you have any more luck on the next one. But it'd be nice to see you again. Haven't seen you for ages. Just quickly then, the engine and gearbox looks very good, Gareth. I can't remember, I'm sure you must have a milling machine, but I can't picture it in my head. I was too interested in the Myford, as it were. Yeah, finished every project, Michael. That's pretty good. I certainly, I think I've got most of my projects going. Whether finished is the right word, I don't know really. Oh, Tony says, okay, works during the week. So, yeah, this happens, Tony. As soon as it knows it's on the net, all the technology goes all bashful. So there you go. But yeah, good work on finishing every project, Michael. Well, it'll be interesting to see if I can finish this, what really is quite a simple bit of Arduino programming, but it's been, well, 3 or 4 years since I've programmed anything, and my head is it's like a sieve these days. So I'm having to retrain myself in programming. I like the SMA tightener, Colin. I'm just going to show you, because those attenuators are great, aren't they? If I go to the unsteady cam, which is just this horrible thing here, if I remember how to put that online, come on, there we go. I know I've shown this loads of times, but I don't know if I've ever seen one of the facilities it's got. This is my GPS disciplined crystal oven controlled crystal oscillator and signal generator. So most of the time it's just sitting there chucking 10 megs out of all these. That's GPS locked 10 megs out of all the BNC connectors there. I won't tell you what my BNC covers are made of, Colin. See if you can guess. But if I press this screen button here, it turns into a signal generation. You'll see it's on 136 kilohertz at the moment. But it has got. Oh no, that's not it. How do I make the attenuator work? Oh, press the right button. So yeah, so I can modify the output. I don't even know if this is in focus. Apologies if it's not. And I got carried away with the NextGen programming. So as well as telling you how many dBs it's attenuating, it's got a little meter there as well. I don't know if you can see that going up and down. Anyway, how do I get out of this? Back to the ding dong. Probably like that, and then like that, and like that. Exit SIGGEN. And it goes back to the GPS locked display. Right. That may have given Tony enough. Tony, let me know on the chat if you want to try again, if you think it might work this time. I'm glad that Chris is giving you a lecture on what Murphy's Law is. Well, look. Pluto film is just a da-da-da-da. Yes, okay. I guess that means you'd like to have a crack, Tony. So let's put it round to you, and then if you put it back to me, I'll close things off. But obviously, people can carry on chatting if they'd like. So G0AZQ to take it with the BATC Thursday evening net. Let's try again. G4 Fox Kilo Kilo standing by for you.
We might have a success story here. Okay, let's try a transition over onto the ugly mug, and hopefully everything's okay. We don't have a talkback like we do on EY, on UHF, so I've got no proof apart from I'm looking at myself on the stream that everything is actually working okay. Probably a little bit of feedback on the audio there. Thanks, Michael, and I'm glad that the weather's okay in Spain. Since I've been there, well, I was over in Portugal the last about 10 years ago. Anyway, update. Now we're on the satellite. What have I got to report? Oh, I had it all written down here. I have to rely on memory. Had the operation done on the eye, so we're now okay on one eye, and so the cataract operation went well, and now I see things very, very brightly on the right eye, but I've got another problem with the left eye which has got to be operated on, and that needed a go to sleep situation, and I wasn't well enough to have the go to sleep treatment, so that was put off, but we'll have it in the not too distant future. Now we're going to try something else here, and I'll tell you about the Clark Tower. My tower for the various antennas that I've got out in the garden, the seals have gone, so I've located one. I'm expecting the guy to come back on me on an email actually tonight, and he'll deliver it from Bradford, so for £1 a mile, which is 70 miles, so That'll be okay. No, okay, enough of that. So we'll have another tower that's going to work. And on North Yorks Railways, changing the subject, we've got a rail car which has been running for the last week, and if we do a transition into that, it's going down the line. This week on Vickers Town, it's going to take 3 minutes for us to grow on Velcros. That's an interesting situation, and it seems to fill it up with people. It doesn't seem to be running to that. I don't know quite what. Looking at Velcros. Right, what else have we got to tell you about? That's all, I think. And we will be getting, in the not too distant future, the Nigel Gresley railway engine. That's coming up next month. So we'll see what gives with that. Okay, so all we've got to do now is say 7.3 and put it back to Martin. G4 FKK.
Excellent. Excuse me, G0AZQ. G4FKK returning. Very good, Tony. And very nice to see you again. And I hope Noel was watching. And oh yeah, Roger, G3IUZ, looks like he might be watching. So he'd have been interested in the railway, the rail car going there. It's excellent. The audio on the video was slightly overpowering your commentary, Tony, but I think we all got the gist of it. So that was excellent, and I hope the new one is going well, or will go well when it gets there. Right, and I think Clarks are still going. I could be wrong. So you never know. You might be getting brand new gaskets for the Clarks mast, and it'll be nice to have the aerial up again. Right. Oh, Siggy's got no audio from me. Oh dear. I think you may have to retune your receiver. There's no point telling you that if you've got no audio. I'm getting audio, I think. Yes. Oh, yep. Good evening, Roger. Nice to see NYM video. I think it was. Is that an NYM video from Tony? Was it? Yes, Colin got the tour and new seals. They are on the Isle of Wight. Yes. Yes, good. Oh, everyone's saying how helpful Clarks were when they wanted new bits and seals and things. Hang on. Audio okay here. Siggy, try a retune. Always works. Turn it off and on again. Right. Well, that is, I think, it for the BATC net this evening. Don't let that stop you carrying on. But I'm now going to go and have some pudding. So, because I had dinner before the net, so I'm still hungry. And so is the cat, because she keeps coming to the shack and annoying me, trying to get me to feed her as well. So thanks everybody for coming up on the net. Thanks to everyone who's watching and passing on comments. And yep, I'm glad everyone else is getting the audio okay. It's no good trying to lip read what I'm saying, Chris. Yes, so thanks everyone for coming up, everyone who's been watching. Hopefully we'll see some or all of you and people we haven't seen for a while on next week. It was great to see Tony on again. Great to have Dave back. And great to see Simon's excellent work. Working so well from the island of Guernsey this evening. So keep up the good work, Simon, and we're all very excited and looking forward to to downloading it, as it were. I'm sure there's plenty more volunteers if you need some more beta or even gamma testers. You never know. Right, 73 all. I'll see if I can find the an appropriate test card. Oh, actually, I won't see you next week because, as I say, Gareth has kindly volunteered to take over next week while I'm doing something else completely. So, good night all, and have a good fortnight. G4FKK now closing down. Cheerio.